Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Srinivasa Biology Tutorials. In this section to discuss plant kingdom. NCERT line to line, the plant kingdom chapter. The plant kingdom. The previous chapter is looked at a broad classification of living organisms under the system proposed by the R.H. Whittaker in 1969, wherein he suggested in a 5 kingdom classification like as in a Monera, Protista, fungi, animalia and plant. So the last previous section to discuss the R.H. Whittaker was proposed as a 5 kingdom classification. Am I right? In that there are Monera, Protista, fungi to discuss. Now in this chapter to completely here in this chapter we will detail with the features the classification of within the kingdom plant type. They are properly known as in a kingdom plant kingdom. So it is complete to discover as in a completely in a plant kingdom. Now we must stress here that occurs the underlining of the plant kingdom is changed over time. So when we are complete to discuss about as in a plant kingdom, every year to complete the changes will be there takes place. And here fungi and the members of the Monera, Protista having as in a cell walls have now been they excluded from the in a plant through the error classification placed them the same kingdom. So when the plant kingdom will be completely placed as in separately, the remaining the Monera, fungi and Protistas we placed under the different groups. So the cyanobacteria that as in also referred to as in the blue green algae or the referred not as in algae anymore. If they are having as in a blue green algae, in this blue green algae cyanobacteria member, it is not for algae anymore. In this chapter we will be describe the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms under the plant. So in this total chapter to completely explain about what is the plant, animalia, like Now let us also look at classification within the angiosperm to understand the sum of the innate corners that is influenced by the classification systems. So now the angiosperms to completely their earlier system of classification to explain means the systems every time their classifications will be changed. The earlier system of classification used by as only the grass superficial morphological characters. Here mostly here the earlier system classification to get proposed with based on the superficial morphological characters such as in a habit, color, number and shape of the leaves, etc. So these characters they are based on to get proposed as any early system of classification. They will be based on mainly the vegetative characters or on the androecium. Here androecium structures the system to given as an lineage. So here mostly the morphological vegetative characters they are based on to get proposed as an 2 kingdom classification by Linnaeus. Such systems we are the artificial. They are separated as a closely related species since we are based on their few characters. So here few characters they are based on completely they are separated to as these all classes. And it is also the artificial system of give as a equal weightage the vegetative and sexual reproduction, the sexual characters. Here vegetative characters as well as the sexual characters they give equal importance. That is not applicable. Yes or no? Here mostly the vegetative characters, sexual characters, these are not acceptable since how now that often the vegetative characters more easily they are affected by environmental conditions. So environmental conditions will be changed. What happened to automatically the vegetative characters also to change. And the characters there next here to against the natural system of classification is developed. So in this earlier system classification to against to get completely to discovered by as a natural system of classification developed, which is where based on the natural affinities along with as organisms and considered is not only the external features but also they having as some internal features. They have completely internal features also. In this internal features as what? In that completely internal features like within like outer structure, anatomy, embryology and phyto chemistry. So these external characters as well as internal characters, they are based on structure, anatomy, embryology, phytochemistry, such as these are completely, they are some characters, external and internal characters based on their classification. The flowering plants was given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. In this natural system of classification to proposed by the scientist was here George Bentham and Dalton Hooker. Next, here at present of phylogenetical classification, they are based on evolutionary relationship between the various organisms, they are acceptable. So in this phylogenetical system of classification, the number of scientists that are accepted because they are completely to differ for as the previous the system of classifications. Now this assumes that organisms belongs to the same taxa having a common ancestor. They having as the same taxa ancestor also they are present here. We now use the formation from many other the source to be help the resolve the difficulties of the classification. So any the difficulties as present, it is can easily to their solve it. This becomes their more important when there is not the supporting for fossil evidence. But in this the phylogenetical system of classification, they are most important for as it is know that they are supporting to the fossil evidence also. Now the numerical taxonomy, which is now easily they carried out using as in a computers, they are based on allow to all their observable characters. So then completely numerical taxonomy, the numericals and computer data based of informations, and they are completely, they are easily to get explained about as in this numerical taxonomy, like as in a number coding assigned to the all character and the data to the process. In this completely they are explained about as a numerical taxonomy. Next, in this way each the characters they given as a equal importance, and at the same time there 100 of characters can be there considered as within at a time 100 characters they can easily they are give as in a characters that is in a numerical taxonomy. And then next cytotaxonomy, that is the based on the cytological information. What is the cytological information? Like as in a chromosomal number and structure and behavior, and they are completely they are explained about as in a cytotaxonomy. Chromosomal number as well as in a structure and behavior. And here they are given as in a their chemotaxonomy, that uses as in a chemical constitutions of the plant for resolve the confusions, or also used as in a taxonomic these days. So they are completely their plant their chemical constitutions also they are completely explained about as in a this chemotaxonomy. And next, the previous discuss in that chapter completely they explain about as in a algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. First to discuss in a algae. In that algae are the chlorophyll bearing the simple thyroid autotrophic and largely aquatic. They both present as in a freshwater as well as in a marine organisms. In this algae present as in a they are bearing as a simple thyroid autotrophic, simple, and their thyroid plant organism, and mostly they are present as in a freshwater as well as in a marine water organism. They occur as variety of the habits like as in a moist stones, soils, woods, and some of them occur in a association with as in a fungi like as in a lichens and animals sloth bears. So in this enter the fungi, in this algae they are present as in a they are associated with as in a fungi like as in a lichens, and this algae they are associated with as in a animals also like as in a sloth bears. Okay, now after this form and the size algae highly they are variable. There are ring form as in a colonical forms like as in a volvox. So algae they having as in a different forms as present, like as in a colonical forms. They completely having as in a that colonical forms. In that colonical forms, example is in a volvox. That is in a volvox. Okay, and next filamentous. Some they having as in a filamentous, that is in a Spirogyra filament. Like they given as a filamentous form like as in Elothrix as well as in a that is Spirogyra. That is in a Spirogyra. Next, the few of the marine forms such as in a kelps and massive bodies also the algal members as present. And now in this algae what type of vegetative reproduction is takes place? The algae, the algae reproduced by a vegetative reproduction, a sexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction takes place. The vegetative reproduction takes place by as in a fragmentation, and for example it is in a fragment. In this fragment, in unfavorable conditions to get forms as in small pieces, each piece to get forms developed into as in a new individual filament. That is in a fragmentation process. Next, asexual reproduction takes place by production of different types of spores. The most common type is spores is what? Zoospores. It is their completely produced as in a number of spores. These are the spores. Am I right? These spores are completely or called as in a zoospores. These are the completely in a zoospores. Now, the flagellate here two types of spores also there present. Here one is in a flagellated spores and second one is in a non-flagellated spores. Here flagellated spores, here they are having as a flagellated, the are motile or germination gives rise to as a new plants. Here they are flagellated, each their spores are to get germinates to form as in a new plant. Next, the sexual reproduction takes place by through the fusion of two gametes. Here two gametes to completely get fused to get forms as in a they are zygote. Here the gametes can be the flagellated and similar size like as in heliothrax or non-flagellated non-motile but in a similar size like in a Spirogyra. They are having as in a flagellated and then non-flagellated, the non-motile spores also they are present here. Next, such reproduction is called as in a here isogamy, means isogametes. Isogametes means they have completely their same size and shape of their gametes they get fused, that is called as in a isogamous. And fusion of in a dissimilar gametes, for example it is in a male, it is in a female, they get fused to get form as in a zygote. This is in a completely anisogamy. Next, the fusion between as in a larger one is in a large non-motile female gamete, it is in a female gamete, and here the small they are male gamete, they get fused to get form as in a zygote. This is called as completely oogamous. Isogamy, anisogamy and oogamy. So this kind of the reproduction takes place. Here they give an example, here volvox and then fucus, volvox and fucus. Next, after, so they given here clearly, it is in a volvox, it is in a heliothrax. These are the completely the best example for the algal members, green algae. Next, here algae, what is the uses? Mostly algae useful for as to man's in a variety ways. Algae useful to man in a variety ways. Here, first one, at least half of the total carbon dioxide fixation on the earth carried by us through photosynthesis. So they are uptaking as in a carbon dioxide and they are to giving as in a oxygen when the process of what? In a photosynthesis. The process of what ma? Photosynthesis. Now, next, the bending the photosynthetic, the increase the level of dissolved oxygen. Dissolved the oxygen. Now, here when they are immediately to release the environment, when the oxygen will be to get released in this oxygen to dissolved in the atmosphere. Next, there para amount of the primary producers the energy rich compounds which form as in a basic their food cycles in aquatic animals. So mostly the algal members to get primary they are uptake to as a carbon dioxide and water to get forms as in the primary producers. In these primary producers to complete it to get used as in a their aquatic animals and other animals also. Next, the many species like as in a porifera and laminaria and sargassum, they are among the 70 species the marine algae they are used for as in a food. Here like as in a porifera and laminaria and sargassum, they are 70 species marine species that we are using as for the food. Next, here the certain marine brown algae, red algae, they to produce as any the large amount of hydrocolloid water holding substances. Here mostly some species here like as a brown algae and red algae to get used as in a water holding substances. Mostly we are seeing as in functions they are using as in a decoration sponges. They are nothing but as in a hydrocolloid substances. Example they are given as in a here algin. here brown algae, and Cara green, it is in a red algae, which are used for as in a commercially also. They are used as in a commercial also, like as in a agar. One is in a commercial product obtained from as in a Gelidium and Gracilaria, used to growing as in a microbes and to preparation of in a ice creams and jellies. So here there is one species of there, that is in a agar species. In this agar species we are obtaining for in a Gelidium and Gracilaria, it is used for as in a making of ice creams and then jellies. Next, here the chlorella is a unicellular algae which is as in a rich proteins as present. Here chlorella species is present. In this chlorella species they having as in a rich proteins as present. In this unicellular the rich proteins used for as in a food supplement, even though space travelers in the astronauts or space travelers to get used for as in this algae, completely they are used for as in a food also. Okay. Now in this algae to completely to divide it into, there are three classes. One is in a chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae and then rhodophyceae. They are completely three classes. In the three classes to discuss in next class. Thank you for watching.